the lives of people from every part of the world, from every economic class, from every ethnic group, and every other identity. Not only will every person be affected, but existing inequality will be amplified.
Look around. Look at the diversity here. Do not let them tell you this is not an intersectional, interracial, powerful, national movement.
Our leaders valiantly charge against terrorism, instability, inequality, and disease, yet quake when considering any policies intended to protect our environment. Therefore, youth such as myself must continue to nag them that it is their responsibility to provide our future.
Before the COVID-19 pandemic, there was a youth movement that was bubbling up and getting stronger. For example, in 2019, you probably remember the millions of students who walked out of their classrooms and adults who joined them in the streets for the climate march. So now I'm super excited to be joined by two people from 0 Hour, an organization that is youth-led. I'll be speaking with Nadia Nazar, who is the co-executive director of the organization, and Lorena Sosa, who is the operations director. Welcome to you both to Virgin at Zero.
Thank you for having us.
Awesome. So to get started, I kind of want to hear a little bit from both of you about the state of the 0 Hour movement right now in the pandemic.
Yeah, it's been a little difficult with online organizing because before we would organize online, but we would still have like in-person events that we would be coordinating and planning. And a lot of those in-person events kind of help show like how many people are in this movement. But since we've kind of been fully online, it's been hard to engage in that power and in that community building. So it has been a little slow. And of course, the pandemic has affected everyone in its own way, and that's taken a toll on everyone, but we're definitely pushing through. And I'm really looking forward to what we're going to be able to do like in the next few months, hopefully, as COVID continues to clear up a little bit.
Yes,
Lorena?
I really agree with what Nadia said. I think online organizing was definitely its own uphill battle to navigate. At least for me, I feel like the online organizing to some extent gave me some confidence to begin organizing within my own community, just because when I started organizing here in Orlando, I didn't really have that much confidence in like my local school community to present, these environmental discussions. But yeah, I think it's also enabled us the opportunity to build connections with some of our chapters as well. It allows us that space to just network all across the region as well. So I think it's definitely had, its pros and cons. But like what Nadia said, I think we have a really great opportunity to pick up the momentum that we had earlier on.
Yeah, so you mentioned organizing with all the different chapters that you have. I understand that you're international. So can you give a little example or two around how you've been able to organize internationally during the pandemic?
Definitely. So one thing that I'm really happy to spearhead here at 0 Hour is our 0 Hour office hours, where twice a month we meet up with our international chapters and have like a 1 hour session where we discuss their current kind of phase within organizing and then work to help them create next steps for their own campaigns. One great example is our 0 Hour Singapore chapter, who has rebranded as 11th Hour recently, and they've been focused on helping Singaporeans essentially learn about individual actions that they can take just because government actions are a lot harder in that region.
Great, thanks for sharing that. So I know that you all are focused on two goals. One is around fossil fuel subsidies and another around sustainable electric transportation. Can either of you share like specifically what those goals are around that and what you're doing to get there?
Yeah, we're currently trying to have it go in the infrastructure bill that's going through Congress right now. We want fossil fuel subsidies to go away, the funding for fossil fuel infrastructure. And I believe Biden promised that he was going to do it, but we haven't seen that step yet. So we really want fossil fuel infrastructure to come to a halt, and that's a part of that. And then taking that money and investing it into green transit, into public transportation, and ways for just like clean solutions for that include transportation for climate change.
So you're working with politicians to try to get that into the bill, is that right?
Yeah, we're trying to put pressure on some politicians. Some elected officials already support it, and they've been, coming to our events, speaking on behalf of it. But others have been like not that supportive. Yeah.
Got it. Thanks for that. So something that I saw on your social media on Instagram specifically is that Zero Hour recently celebrated 3 years since its first action. And Nadia, I know that you've been with the organization from the start as a co-founder. I'm curious if you can share some things that you're particularly proud of that the organization has done so far in its history.
Yeah, I think I'm just really proud of how many people we've been able to mobilize and how many people we've been able to kind of inspire to take action in their own community. I'm also really proud of us for kind of being bold with what we want and what we're demanding, and not necessarily bold right now, but at least bold for that time. We were talking about different systems of oppression, how racism, the patriarchy, capitalism, and colonialism all intersect with the climate crisis, and how that is not only impacting how people are being affected right now, but also are the causes of the climate crisis. And really talking about environmental racism and being open and having conversations about climate justice is so important. And I'm really glad that we've been able to really push that forward in the youth climate movement. And now it's become like such, not necessarily a normal thing, but it's so so much talked, not so much talked about in our movement, but it's like the forefront of the climate movement.
Definitely. I've definitely noticed more talk around environmental justice in recent years too. Lorena, I know that you've been involved with Zero Hour a little bit more recently. Can you share anything that you're proud of or any work that you're hoping to do over the next couple of years with the organization?
Definitely. I'm looking forward to really experimenting with different theories of change. One really exciting conversation that we've had within our team is really understanding that there's so many ways that you can take action within this movement. Personally, right now, what I find like I'm an advocate for is research and development, policy and innovation to go hand in hand to really solve and, sustain climate action. And I think I'm also just really amazed by the fact that so many of the people that work in Zero Hour, believe in other theories of change like food systems, community building, sustainable business, all different important theories of change that we all really need to keep in mind. So that's really what I'm looking forward to in these next few years.
So earlier you talked a little bit about how you are working with elected officials to kind of put the fossil fuel subsidies within the infrastructure bill. But there's also a role that businesses can play in this work. So I'm curious about how you all see the role of business in kind of helping address the impacts of climate change as we're continuing to see more and more in the news every day.
Yeah, I think it's really important to acknowledge that a lot of corporations are even the cause of this crisis and have been constantly emitting fossil fuels, playing into the causes of this crisis. And not only that, but sharing perhaps like misinformation or not boosting information about climate change and other social justice issues, but kind of censoring that content and that information that's educating people all around the world. And so I really think that businesses need to listen to people, listen to Indigenous organizers, Black organizers, those who are in the movement working, and really see what they can do, connect with communities and make sure you're not like taking advantage of people. We have a term that we use like greenwashing or youth washing, where you try to use like young people to kind of market that you're sustainable when you're really not. So, really making sure that you're meeting those sustainable requirements. How are you not only like stopping to like pollute and stopping to contribute to the crisis, but what are you doing to actually help the movement that's trying to solve this issue in time?
Mm-hmm. So we're about to wrap up, but in the audience right now, there's thousands of people who work in the businesses that you were just kind of speaking to. So I want to give you all one more chance to kind of make the case to them for what they should be doing. And if you have anything specific that they can be connecting with 0 Hour on, please let them know right now.
I would definitely say that if you're a corporation watching this, you need to start investing in research and development. Within our public sector, we only invest $22 billion a year, which is a very small fraction compared to the $600 billion that we spend in military spending. And you also really need to start listening to those that work for you. Of course, you have your exec board, that's important, right? But you need to start listening to your workers and their experiences within the workforce, especially if you're a group that, like a large sustainable corporation, your values really need to be centered towards justice at the moment.
Yeah, that was great.
Thank you, Nadia and Lorena, for joining us. I will definitely be keeping up with 0 Hour, and I hope that everyone in the audience also gets to know them a little bit more. I believe their website is thisiszerohour.org, so feel free to check them out.